Shall we start? It's 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Thank you for one more wonderful day at the Let's Learn Surgery Forum. There are a lot of things that a surgeon has to pick up during his surgical training on the way to become a good surgeon. And one of the few things which my father taught me when I expressed interest in saying that I want to become a surgeon is that he wrote a small letter in which he said, no, a surgeon is a person with a lion's heart, not because the surgeons are the most brave, but that they always live in a group, a pride of lions. So he said, remember, every member of your team is very, very important for the success of your operation and the care of the patient. And that stayed with me. I was a third-year medical student at that time. So team building is very much a part of surgery. We see that surgeons are more interested in team sports rather than in individual performance. So in the world of clinical surgery, we rarely learn how to develop processes and protocols. I think the best way to learn is from the world of business, the world of engineering, where they have excellent processes and protocols and the way they modify to actually achieve things in practice. You can also learn it from looking at military behavior. That is why you need to read a lot on war stories, protocols during wars, and military history, which will give you a lot of things. A team is a group of people who perform interdependent tasks to work towards a common goal or objective. And in the care of the patient, the team, the surgical team is very, very important. To speak on this about how to build great teams, we have a wonderful speaker today, Mr.PG Suresh Kumar, who is the Chief Personal Officer at the L&T Infrastructure Development Projects Limited. He's an accomplished athlete, a marathon runner, and a very, very nice person. He holds a bachelor's degree from metallurgical engineering from the National Institute of Technology, Jamshedpur. And he's also an MBA from the XLRI, Jamshedpur. He has been serving the L&T IDPL for 30 years and is one of the senior people in that company. So I got to know him through a clinical circumstance. And while visiting him in his office, he taught me about something that still I cherish, about change management. So after interacting with him on multiple occasions, I felt he was the best person to talk about developing and building teams in view of surgery. So we hand over the podium to you, PGSK sir.
Before the Mr. Suresh Kumar starts, I have pleasure in welcoming Dr. Puneet Dar as a moderator for the session. Puneet needs no introduction to a surgical audience in India, and he is a very well accomplished surgeon and a speaker. Presently, is head department of surgical gastroenterology at AIIMS, Rishikesh. He had his initial GI surgical training from GV Pant and has been a professor head at Amrita Institute Kochi of surgical gastroenterology, liver transplantation, surgical oncology, and so on. And at the moment, he is also the president-elect of the International Hepatopancreatic Biliary Association, Indian chapter. And he has more than 100 publications to his credit. And more than anything, Puneet is a very, very jolly chap to get along with, and he's got a huge interest in bird watching and bird photography, the real birds, I mean. Puneet, welcome. Back to you, sir. Mr. Suresh Kumar.
Thank you very much, everyone, and thanks for the nice introduction by Dr. Ilango. And really, it is amazing to know that doctors also have other interests, particularly, I can make out that Dr. Puneet is an ornithologist. I hope I'm saying it correctly. Very nice. And, actually, I'm scared. Dr. Ilango mentioned about lion and the lion's heart. So I feel as if I'm in a lion's den and there are 20 lions staring at me. So I am one humble little Kargosh, a bunny rabbit. So kindly don't harm me in case if I sway into a topic and it becomes sensitive to the doctors, because it is team building and I have never addressed, more than one doctor I have not met. At the maximum, maybe, one assistant to the doctor at the max. So looking at so many doctors, it's really something. Though I said it in a lighter note, really, I also appreciate the efforts. This is what I'm getting to understand. You people meet together in a periodic manner and trying to learn and know things which can supplement and complement your profession. So my prayers are with you, for all you, all the doctors here and all the other doctors who are in the noble cause of serving this society. Right. Very, very quickly, maybe, within a minute's time, I have both the line function experience and also people experience, in the sense that once I was a normal, simple engineer on the field, then moved on to project management, then contracts management, project implementation, then handling complex projects. Were just a second. So that was pet management. That fellow started barking outside. Right. So from there, I moved to business. Business in the sense, bringing the entire civil, mechanical, electrical, control and automation into a package, and then selling it as a concept and also implementing it as a project. So I moved from an engineering background to business background. Then I was given the responsibility of the P&L. The profit and loss responsibility was given to me. The top line and the bottom line are my deliverables. I have to keep an eye on the top line and also on the bottom line. So I'm responsible for bringing profit after tax. In the process, I also went back to school, studied in XLRA Jamshedpur, because there was an opportunity for me to co-create a company. In L&T, there is another company within the company. We have several companies. We have a separate books, separate board, for which I was responsible for organization build-up. Then the story goes on that I was given the chief personal officer responsibility too. So why I am telling all these things is, yes, I salute all of you, but here I am bringing a message to all of you from the field of engineering, business, and people management package together, that I also done and seen, tested and tasted team building. Right? Sandhya, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I didn't make a structured presentation. Actually, this whatever you are going to see, the PPTs are my cue cards, but I'm going to present it, but I will talk it out. And then I divided the entire session. The hot stop I was told is 9:30. So I'll be mindful of the time. And I divided this into 3 sections. First 30 minutes, let me give you the concept. Let me also give you maybe some of the success stories that how we went about in team building. Then you are going to see a video on a concept called Belbin team role. And also in the first half, I'm going to cover certain aspects of, how the traits and behaviors of the team members can be measured before even you formalize your team. Fine, team is formalized. Fine, you got married to a person. Then let us see how that person is. So all those things are possible by a tool, which is called Harrison assessment. And finally, 30 minutes we will keep for Dr. Punit Dar to facilitate, we can chit chat and it can be a two-way understanding of each other's perspective of a world of doctors and a person who is representing the world of engineering and business. So this is how I have structured. Feel free to stop me at any time, though we have 30 minutes earmarked in the end for our chit chat. Sandhya, let us start the presentation. Few slides only. Right. So the what portion of the team building, I am leaving it to you. And you are the subject matter expert. Maybe this word is the escape clause for me. I'll be frequently using this. So I am not going to talk about the what part of it, but the why part of team building and the how part of team building I will certainly touch upon. Yeah, it is like, someone is carrying a load of, say, 40 kilos or 50 kilos. If there is a team, if some of the people are going to lend their helping hand, the load gets shared. As simple as that. It's not rocket science. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Why some teams are actually a success story, why some teams are not a success story? Because the script is to be written in the beginning itself. So let me spend much of the time in the how part of the team building. Next one. So as I said, any dish needs to be thoughtfully prepared. So this is also a recipe. Team building is also an art. Some things gets added more. You can actually have the luxury of diluting it in another way. Fine. For team building, you need a strategy. In our place, let us say a complex project. Suppose a refinery. I work for L&T. So this is my T-shirt and this is my logo. He introduced me also. So most of my references will be from that field. To me, if I have to draw a comparison, I think it is like a heart transplantation. I don't know I'm saying it correctly or not. Maybe, your surgery where, some hand or leg is amputated or cut and then you are joining it together. To me, in my world, when I look at your world, it is like that. So refinery, putting a refinery or a naphtha cracking plant, all these things are multi disciplinary and lots of things are involved in that. As I said, civil, mechanical, electrical, control and automation, security systems, data maintenance, so many things. And then you have to integrate it, integrating the system. So I'm so sure when you are actually building up your team, you must be having a strategy with you. Before we start, who is actually responsible for building a team? Is it my site administration person? Or is it my chief financial officer for that particular project, if I am putting it as a special purpose vehicle? Or is it the project manager? Is it the project director? Or is it the HR head? They play a role, but it is preferable that a leader builds the team. Fine, then what is the difference between boss and a leader? If boss and a leader are there, then who is a manager? What is his role? Actually, all the three are there in you, in us. In whoever is responsible for building the team, the boss actually directs, the leader guides, manager actually tells them the micro things and then makes the things happen. So all the three have to be there inside you. So I'm not actually sure in your world how it happens that suddenly a doctor decides that I will build a team. I don't know. I'm not sure how it works in your world. For me, it's all, wherever, whatever I am familiar with, Apollo Hospital or Maya or wherever I go, MGM. I'm not sure who actually decides what is the strategy, whether you all sit together and do it. We all do that. Actually, there is a project management team. We decide what is the strategy that this refinery should be constructed on turnkey basis, and we hand over the key to the owner if we are a EPC contractor. If we are a contractor, we got this refinery to be built, then we decide upfront the strategy, putting into place all the challenges, like it involves heavy lift, it involves excavation, it involves marine piling if it is a water body construction. So it goes on and on. So I'm so sure, or I am assuming that maybe you are also doing it in the same way. So you should have a strategy first of all, and then the structure. Who reports to whom? What will be the hierarchy? Who sits where and how they operate? It's all, we build these refineries somewhere in Gulf, but so many people sits in so many places and operate. And then we decide the skill sets. Who all should have what type of skill sets? Then we also decide what should be the team size. In the team, we also involve various types of categories. I'm not telling you team means a team of 20 or a team of 10 specialists. No. Even a large group, large thing is also, let us nominate it, let us call it as team here for the purpose of understanding team building. So maybe you are doing it. And then we also decide, hey, fine, yeah, they are rendering the service, how much I should pay. I want the best of the talent, but if I'm not in a position to pay, no one is going to come and work for us. It has to be market aligned. Fine. Then if I'm not able to pay, then the strategy there slightly gets tweaked. Then I go for the B category. So other things are very obvious. It is no brainer. You know what I'm talking about. Then in the recipe for team, they also look for access to leadership, learning opportunities. And also there are team within team. People earn and people look for placement in those specific teams. There's a task force we form within that. So they want to be a member of that. All these things gets into recipe of a team. Above all, they also look at what is in for me that I can learn so that my CV becomes heavy. There's nothing called free lunch. Everybody is taking something. Maybe I'm again guessing that if there is a complex surgery or operation, maybe someone is looking for a position there in your world. So decide that first and also understand what role you are playing. Is it that you want to know just fine, let me also understand how a team is built, but whose responsibility is building the team, how you all come together to build a team. Sandhya, quickly next. Fine. I said so many things, but how it gets recorded? We write it something called a job description. Actually, I wanted to lay my hands on a job description, a typical one of a doctor. One of my friend promised, but it could not materialize at the end. So what I did, I requested Sandhya to display a typical job description, something from our world. Sandhya, very quickly, please. Whatever I said are documented. So we have documentation for team building. It all starts with, yes, you have a strategy, you know the team. Now you know a specific skill set, then you have to record it and document it. If I start explaining the entire thing, it will take at least 40 minutes, 45 minutes type. So very quickly, the position name is given. This is for a road project, in a concession project, like you are all driving and then using toll roads. This is the head of that toll road. These are the skill sets which are required. Suppose you are going from Chennai to Bangalore, you are paying toll and going. You are going from Panipat elevated corridor from Panipat to Delhi. This is what the head of that particular unit does. And these are his skill sets, qualifications. Please come down. Please come down. It talks about, no, you are very fast. You are very fast. Yeah. Let us read the 35,000 feet job summary. To ensure all collectible revenue is collected carefully by identifying the threats in various alternate routes, etc. And then it goes on, goes on, goes on. I don't know. Maybe someone can unmute and tell me. Do you have job descriptions for doctors?
Yes, we do.
Wow, lovely. Lovely. And is it similar to this? Is it talking about
Roughly, not exactly. It all depends. Suppose they are looking for somebody to head the department of cardiothoracic surgery.
Okay.
So then they will say you should be competent in doing open heart surgery, this surgery, that surgery, etc., etc. You should have had so many cases done.
Okay.
And you should have supervised residents,
Okay.
etc., etc. And you should have worked in 800-bedded hospital, 300-bedded hospital.
Beautiful, beautiful. You are there. You are there. So what is not there, or what is here, which is what is not here, which is there? Let us quickly take a look. So you are familiar with job description, which is the essential for documentation. First is the 35,000 feet statement, and then it talks about the key responsibilities. The key responsibilities from strategic perspective. Then we also give a weightage. Come down, Sandhya. Then on the financials, because he is actually a chief operating officer, almost a CEO of that particular, though it is a small company. It collects on everyday basis more than 1.5 crores of cash. Look at that, point number 7, innovate ways for cost reduction. Come down, Sandhya. So one is strategic, another one is financial perspective. Sandhya, come down. It's not moving. Sandhya, are you there? Am I audible, Dr. Ilango?
You are.
Yeah.
Sir,
Sandhya,
you're perfectly audible.
Crawl down.
Yeah. Can you see that, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not moving. Yeah.
It's not moving. It is stuck at financial. Maybe financials are very important according to you.
Too heavy.
Okay, I'll reshare the screen because for me it's there. I'll reshare the screen.
Please do. While she is doing it, in the interest of time, it also talks about span of control. What are your budget responsibilities? What are all your to whom at all you are going to report? And also it talks about the behavioral aspects. So we do documentation, job description. In fact, I'll be very, very happy. I would like to lay my hands on this also. Maybe I can also add on to that. Certainly, you are all must be working for very reputed setups and brand, and they also have strong HR systems, people related aspects. Very good. Sandhya?
Mr. Suresh Kumar, if I may, this is one thing I noticed, that who will report to whom is something which is clearly mentioned in all your appointment orders or whatever documents. This is something which is implied but never specified in orders for doctors. When I join, I am never told that I will report to so-and-so as far as say clinical decisions are to be taken, to report to so-and-so for administrative things, to report to such a thing about managing your own people, or even somebody joins under me, he is not told he will report to me. It is implied that he will be working in my department, but is never written. So there is some kind of a situation which seldom I notice in medical.
With all due respect, I am actually not risking directly responding to your question.
I think Vishwaroop, being an administrator for a long time, can unmute and just get at that point. Vishwaroop, if you don't mind, can you unmute?
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Before I go into the topic, I want to say hello to Mr. Suresh Kumar because I was born in Tata Main Hospital and grew up in Jamshedpur. And your NIT Adityapur I have visited many times.
Lovely.
Anyway, coming to this point, you see, incidentally, healthcare is a very different milieu and ecosystem because in this particular segment, it is 100% real time. Performance by the provider and recipient is in extreme intimate contact, and the consequences, response or reaction is rather immediate. And very rarely it is possible to go back and do some damage limitation. Okay. Now, I think this is the general part that I need to mention here in contrast to any other industry. And the second part is regarding this job description and reporting. I think today in very structured system, for example, I'm heading a department of critical care in a hospital, and right now I am sitting here. There are 20 patients in ICU, and I am accountable for someone whom I am not able to see. I am depending on the judgment and quality. So, in fact, this has been my continuous effort wherever I have worked to create that leg room or elbow room. If a leader is accountable, then it is also implied that leader has discretion, right from picking up the team member and how to configure, how to make it function. At the end of the day, we all report to someone. Even my hospital CEO reports to someone and someone. I think going beyond this at this stage will interrupt Suresh's flow. We will come back to these points later.
Not at all, not at all. In fact, I'm very happy to see Jamshedpurian here. So nice. And when you said about Tata Main Hospital, yes, I visited that so many times during my college days. I'm talking about 1983 type, then later on also. And since you are from Jamshedpur, you know about NIT and RIT.
RIT Adityapur was the earlier name, and XLRI thereafter.
Yeah, so I'm from that college. Fine, fine, sir. Sir, you are
Sanjay is not able to share the.
Yeah, she can mail it to me. I can project it from here.
Sandhya, what happened? Fine. To whom it has to be mailed?
She has my email.
Yeah, so I'll send it across because I'm trying to share it again, but
yeah. Okay, let me proceed, but in the interest of time also. So fine. I'm seeing convergence and divergence when we touched upon JD, and I got the sensitivity and the core point what Dr. Vishwaroop was highlighting. We will come back to that later. Fine, but the crux is strategy, team size, capability to pay, and also putting that into a record that fine, this is how it is. So this is the starting point of a team. I'm quickly moving into it is actually very easy when you are going to look at the skill set from the technicalities. It's a double tick mark. Look at this room. As of now, 24, 25 doctors are there. It's a double tick mark when it comes to technical capability. Even for engineers to chartered accountants. However, when you come closer, maybe the technical skill set may be slightly different between people. So let us not go there. However, when you are selected, when you have completed your professional degree, it is a double tick mark. So in team building, if you are looking at the technical capabilities, with all due respect to saving life and noble profession like medicine, doctors. The point is it gelling when it comes to behavioral? This is mainly we see in various stages. So, this project manager whom we have just saw, let us say he has a team size of 17 people or 16 people. They are good when it comes to the technical capabilities, but when it comes to behavioral skills, what are they? We are going to see that also. There are certain behaviors which are very, very essential for doing the job. So while you are going to build the team, are you upfront listing it down that these are all the necessities? So in your job description, I don't know, I think who mentioned it? I think Mr. Vasudevan, Dr. Vasudevan, he said that there is a job description. In your job description, do you have behavioral aspects covered, doctor?
Puneet sir or Biswarup sir, can you?
Yeah.
I think very rarely do we have actually, in the private sector, probably in some places we have job descriptions. In India, it's much less common. So UK, when you apply for a job, everything is given very clearly. And it's much less common to have that. And certainly behavioral stuff is not there at all. So I think we need, as Ilango said, we really need to take a leaf from the, the corporate side of things in this, because the team approach is actually, lacking in from the word go, from the word time of this only. So some of the corporate sectors probably do have a job description, but we don't have a behavioral or attitudinal stuff at all.
Okay. So I got the answer. So what we do is we emphasize even at the job description time itself, we write this. For example, let us say the toll collection, the plaza manager, where you are coming and you are actually, the transaction is happening. Nowadays, FASTag has come. The boom raises. When you are coming, FASTag is affixed in your thing. Let us say there is a dispute. You are telling, I filled it up, man. What is this? Your system is reading it wrong and it says there is no cash. What is the right behavior of the plaza manager or the POS at the point of sale? I'm leaving it to your guess. Suppose if the person starts abusively or harshly, what is that you are going to do? So that's what I'm talking about. So I'm just leaving the point to you because you are a subject matter experts, all of you. I said I will use this very liberally. So I'm asking you to introspect. Fine, this doctor is fantastic. His touch is magical. By sheer way of looking at things, the person can cure. All due respects. All due respects. However, the person has temperamental issue. Doctor, just bear with me, just 1 minute. He has temperamental issue. What? Hey, his frankness score is high, but his diplomatic score is very less. Let us talk about another doctor. Hey man, this doctor, his analytical abilities, analyzing pitfall is very high, but risking is very less. I'm leaving it to your introspection. Look at the polarities, whatever I'm talking about. And let us talk about this doctor. Warmth and empathy is very high, but enforcing is very less.
Yeah.
So the polarity goes on and on and on. I can keep on talking about it. The polarity at play. But the point, what I'm trying to tell you is, finally, the question can be flipped and it can be asked, hey, what do you want, man? You want this life to be saved, or you are trying to evaluate the person who is at the center, the professional himself or herself, and then you are now evaluating and telling, if at all in a score of 10, he or she, the doctor scores 8, then only the person can come and treat me. I don't know where we are heading to in this world of, out of balance concept. So,
Suresh?
yes, doctor.
as a patient, when you go to a doctor, you go to a doctor, not a group of doctors. Am I correct? That is the uniqueness of this interaction. And as a patient, would you want that doctor to be high on diplomatic scale but less on enforcing? Because if in a critical situation in your life or your loved one's life, the person puts his popularity on a premium, but the situation at a lower premium, would you like to have that?
Doctor, you touched the most sensitive point. So you're asking me your life is important or what is important otherwise?
Yes.
Quite naturally, doctor. Anyone will tell that, hey, let him be that individual as he or she is, but save me.
Yeah, actually, I touched another important point in a very subtle manner, that incidentally medical profession happens to be, and it will continue to be, and a prime individual delivering service to an individual. In that, others are contributing, right? So that individual matters. That's why, and it's a profession. Medical activity is a public display activity. It is evident there. When a bridge is built or a road is constructed, future passengers are not standing there. But in healthcare, it will continue to be an individual. You will possibly remember Ilango a lot more than anybody else when you had some clinical interaction with him. And accepting that natural thing and then going about team building is possibly the way forward. Not accepting individual is going to be difficult, because it's like football is a team game, basketball is a team game, cricket is a team game. But cricket is in a unique situation where a batsman is batting. Neither the non-striker nor the other nine friends or teammates in the pavilion can help him. He has to score on his own skill, and same thing is the bowler or something like that. So to me, whenever I work in last 29 years, I have been working in healthcare. Going through from bottom to top, I have always realized an individual will strike out and others will have to accept it. Please carry on.
Doctor, someone said, profession of, uh, police, that one has to be like this. Fine, then let us just write a job description for inspector of police or assistant commissioner of police. Can I draw a parallel to what you said to that also? You have to unmute, doctor.
No two ecosystems can be blended. Each ecosystem has its own uniqueness. What I have experienced, I cannot and should not make an attempt to translate to another team activity. Each ecosystem has to be understood in its own uniqueness.
Very true. We can draw something which is good and we can try to see whether it will work or not. When you said about an individual doctor and interaction, which is, an experience of point of sale, even in that plaza, he actually refers back to his control center through a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
And then he gets an answer.
Mm.
If there is a behavioral interaction, which is positive, which is good for the productivity, it will actually go ahead. So that's where I am actually trying to come in. So going to a clinic or going to a hospital meeting, one individual doctor is one thing, while on the operation theater in a surgery, where a team of doctors, paramedics, I hope I'm saying it correctly, when all your other technical people, when they are all together, I think if one or two behavioral interventions which are not cohesive or conducive will actually jeopardize the teamwork. That's what I'm trying to say it here. Right, then let us come back.
Dr. Suresh, I mean, we accept what you said. That is very true. That is one of the reasons why it is very difficult to actually build a team because we do not actually choose people based on behavioral characters, and we learn about the individual's behavior after the person is enrolled.
I agree. Yes, doctor. I'm not actually trying to argue with any of the doctors here, because as I said, I'm a bunny, rabbit, or lion. But the point is that, maybe on experimental basis, some of you can try this. Already you said there is a job description. Now I'm trying to tell you, beforehand itself, if you can lay these parameters on the behavioral aspects and then make it into a strong document and then select the person. How you will select the person? There are actually tools for that. First of all, there is a concept called Belbin team role. Dr. Belbin, he has actually done research. You can use this and then come back to that. Go to the next. Go to the next. We discussed all these things. All these things we discussed. This also, if time permits, we will come back later. They got the point. Whether you are putting all your scores on behavioral or on skills, fine. So there are 9 team roles he has found out, and Belbin is available even in the online. You can just do it. What is your natural preference? Whether you are a completer finisher, these are all the terminology of Belbin. Whether you are a resource investigator, or whether you are a shaper, or whether you are a specialist. What is that? What is the meaning? Actually, it is impossible to have all the characters desired, all the preferences desired in one person. There will be tendencies which are high, which come so naturally to that person. There are tendencies which doesn't come naturally. So when you are building a team, you can build a team. For example, if Dr. Bishwaroop is, a completer finisher, he can actually take that role. What is the description of a completer finisher? We will see. We are going to see a video a bit later. What is resource investigator? He is a person who is actually outwardly connected. He brings in data, systems, things happening, details from the outside world to your hospital, your operation theater, or to your clinic. Similarly, who is a shaper? The person who brings order there. Where disorder is there, the person brings order. They're all technically qualified, but when it comes to this behavioral thing, that's where Belbin comes very handy. So first is strategy, second one is team size, capability, this, that, all those things. And then you are putting a preference that the person should, if the person is executing this job, should be having this as his natural preference. In fact, there is something called plant. The symbol, where is that? Where is plant? Plant is bulb. The first one. The first one. Is there a description also, Sandhya? The plant brings in idea. It doesn't mean, you have to be somebody else. One of the doctor whose natural preference is bringing in ideas, but he will not be good at implementing it. That's where implementer comes into play. There is someone, again, a doctor or a paramedic or whoever it is, who is a monitor evaluator. What is that? You will try to find out, hey man, we are investing this much time. What is the return on investment? Hey, you are doing this type of approach for, this surgery. Why? How? So that is how they come in. So we are going to see a video a bit later on this. So you will understand what is the natural preference when you are selecting a person, how he or she will fit into that role. So when you select people with different preferences, they gel in as a team. Next, Sandhya. Let us go to the next slide. So what we do, before even we select a person, we administer a tool. That tool is called Harrison assessment. Harrison assessment is very, very powerful. It measures 175 behavioral tendencies. Starting from frankness score, you will get warmth and empathy, you will get risking tendencies, you will get pitfall analysis tendencies. It goes on and on. Then we list it out. It gives the highest preference to lowest preference. It also measures something called polarity graph, which is a flip behavior. Push to a corner. Suppose, let us say, again, since I'm able to see Dr. Bishwarup Paul, I'm just taking this as an example. Sir, with your permission, let us say, Mr. Bishwarup Paul said that he enjoyed and he created systems in Tata Memorial Hospital. He is there, he was there. And let us say, push to a corner, what will be his behavior? So such things comes into open by administering that role. He has a natural preference. His style of functioning is one which is very, very well known to the outside world. But push to a corner, how he can behave, the flip behavior. So what we do is, in interview time, we administer this, select the candidate. We also have a session with them and we give them the reports. Subsequently, let us say, everything has happened, the person has come, maybe he has grown with the company also. After 6 years, 7 years, we also seek 360-degree feedback about that person. All these things are confidential. Then there are experts, certified people who are qualified and who can have debriefing and coaching and counseling session with that person. Hey, grown, you come up here, you are in this position, but however, the last mile race, you need to change your style of functioning.
Suresh, can I come in?
Oh, please.
Okay, you mentioned the word feedback, 360 degree or whatever. I have a question because in my years, I have never found a true neutral feedback in Indian circumstance. Every feedback I have received about somebody, without me asking especially, all those, without me asking if I got it, I always found out there is some vested interest angle. There is, and then it becomes difficult for me to filter out that vested interest and take out this, distill down to that pure neutral feedback. So sometimes feedbacks can become more counterproductive. I'm asking you, am I correct? Because I don't run an HR department. I'm only going by my experience.
I think he means a structured feedback where you actually plan to collect that feedback in a structured manner. Am I right, Suresh?
Sir, both of you are correct. Means, there are how you are actually setting the question. What is that you want to achieve? And how you are ensuring anonymity, that the person who is giving the feedback is safeguarded. You get that. And then while debriefing, the trained coaches go with the mindset, everyone has potential. Everyone has character strength. It is only that sometimes the self-awareness is not there. The person actually comes from a different perspective because of the value systems, because of the belief systems. So, sir, I'm slightly digressing and going into the coaching side of it. I will come back to team building side of it. But, sir, very, very important question what you asked. If we are going to go for a feedback for somebody, yes, there are chances that it can, get diluted, but how you are administering it, how you are ensuring this anonymity, and what is the intention, why we want to do, is it to find fault or is it to correct somebody? Because every resource, we are investing time, money and energy. We want that resource to do very well because so much investment has gone. Who wants to lose that resource. We don't want to lose that resource. So all those things matters in that ecosystem which you used the word earlier. So actually time is not there. Each one is a huge subject. But the point what I'm trying to make you here is, who is actually responsible for building a team? But there is a boss in you, there is a manager in you, there is a leader in you. And how you are actually documenting what do you want, and how you are having the buy-in from people. Otherwise, what will happen? Our doctor said, hey man, I know I have come. It is implied that this person will report to me, but nowhere it is written. I think somewhere we also need to change. You are all senior doctors. You all seen and done things. Maybe you can say all these things should be documented. Fine. At the table, when the life is being saved, it is not that, hey, he is the chief doctor, he will only cut. I'm just saying it in a lighter note. Certainly, that is not going to be the scene. Somebody will be certainly doing something which is essential and required. And in fact, on this subject, I will also talk about nowadays we tell reverse mentoring. In fact, my vice president goes and sits with the graduate engineering trainee and learns, hey, how you are handling this gadget. Hey, how you deciphered it. Yeah, I also did that same thing. I am taking 35 minutes, whereas you are taking 15 minutes, which is happening to you also. Back there in your home, your kids, your grandchildren, they are teaching you. That is reverse mentoring. Maybe, I'm risking now. Maybe there in the operation theater, maybe one young doctor may be telling something. Maybe that is true. That is the right way. I don't know. I'm touching a sensitive topic here. So let me come out of it. So, sir, doctors, what I'm trying to tell is, you can document it. You can put your finger, you can lay your finger on the desired behavior. There are instruments which can actually bring out. That's what you are also going to see in the Belbin team role, a small video. And Sandhya, are you going to show that a slide on Harrison assessment? I don't know, Sandhya
Yes,
is
sir.
not responding.
A brief on it.
I overshot the time, please.
Sure. You're able to see the screen?
No, not yet. Maybe it is coming there. So back there in our team, I mentioned about the refinery. The project will not see the light of the day if both the skills, behavior and technical are there. Best of the project directors flopped because of the behavioral aspects. Then we realized by the time, water down the bridge, and we have to do the damage control and bring the project back into mitigation, time overrun, cost overrun. So it's a huge price we have to pay because, the team didn't gel well, because the team didn't understand each other. So that's when nowadays emphasis and our investment is all on what is the right team. We spend a lot of time. Let there be review meeting, but we actually allocate time in ironing out the difference of opinions, potential ego clashes. Sandhya, leave it, no problem. I will say it. I will state it, and you just get ready with the video very quickly, ma.
Sure. Sure,
So
sir.
the video, what we are going to see is
something with the bandwidth.
Possibly, yes. I don't know how she is going to play the video. Sandhya?
If this happens
Yes,
in
sir.
a surgical setup, the boss will be very angry, Sandhya. And
Doctor, you are right. Even this boss is also very angry. Maybe, later. But, sir,
He's displaying the how the attitude and behavior should be even when he's up. It's
yeah,
things are not going the right way.
but the self-awareness comes into play. Self-awareness comes into play. Murphy's law can trigger anywhere. That is where, otherwise I will lose Sandhya next time. This is how exemplary I am behaving here by not letting her down. she will actually uphold me when there's a crunch situation next time. So this is what we emphasize. Thank you, doctor. You actually on here and now basis just pointed out the situation. Same thing, stakes involved in a refinery project is also very huge. If it is a wrong specification, wrong selection of material, wrong calibration of an instrument, there goes the entire thing. But however, how we are setting it right, how we are actually taking care of the person. In fact, some of the cultures, please kindly don't take me wrong, failures are treated as a learning curve. Hey, come on, please don't mistake me. I'm not telling let us play with life. Chalo yaar, you will learn. Chalo, seek lega beta, seek lega. No, I didn't go there. I'm talking about this side of the area. I'm not coming into your area. Everything is precious. Sandhya, what is happening?
Yeah, I can share my screen now, sir. Just check and let me know.
Please, you play that video, Belbin team role.
Mr. Suresh, in surgery, we all analyze our failures. In fact, as you mentioned, learn more from our failures. Learn more from our failures. Yeah, we learn more from our failures.
We will come to that a bit later.
Why is there
Somebody has got two devices. Possibly Sandhya.
Volume.
Some people are naturally energetic and like to express themselves in the workplace. Others are just looking for a quiet corner where they can get on with things. The great thing is, in a well-constructed team, everybody has something to offer. Everybody brings something to the party. Hi. In research spanning several decades, Meredith Belbin has demonstrated that the success of teams depends not so much on the qualifications, the intelligence, the energy of its members, but more upon how their contrasting behaviours fit into the team mix. Which is just another way of saying that when we get into a working group of any kind, our success as team members and the success of the team depends less on how clever or talented or qualified we are than simply how we behave, and how we behave towards each other. Now, when we say behave, we don't mean it as in, hey, behave yourself. It's not anything to do with people behaving well or badly. It's about how we act and interact, and about why we behave the way we do. Because we've all arrived at a particular bundle of behaviors that makes us uniquely us, our behavioral fingerprint, if you like, as a result of a variety of influences. Our personality, mental ability, our values are what inspire us. What we have learnt from life, and indeed from experience, all influence the way we behave. So the end product of those influences on us is that bunch of behaviours that we bring with us when we join a team and look around to see how we can contribute. Of course, our old way of thinking about a role is that of team leader or vice president or sales manager, but these terms only describe our function. Here we're not talking about function or position or hierarchy. We're talking about those particular clusters of behaviour whose presence or absence in a team seems to spell the difference between success and failure. So that's what a team role is. It's not a personality type, it's not a job description. A team role, as defined by Meredith Belbin, is a cluster of behaviours that enables a person to contribute usefully in a given situation. So why is this important? Well, it's important because all team roles must be represented at some level among the members of a team for that team to be successful. For example, a team that doesn't contain the sort of person who takes an objective view of things will probably struggle to survive. The person who plays that role often has critical things to say and is sometimes accused of killing enthusiasm and crushing creativity. But a team that lacks that sort of individual has no way of objectively assessing its own effectiveness. It will wither in a fog of false assumptions and empty hope. So let's get started. There are 9 team roles that Belbin has identified, 9 essential bundles of behavior. There they are. 9 clusters of behavior just milling about aimlessly, as you see. Pathetic, isn't it? Now let's suggest that one of them has a strong propensity for the team role which we refer to as the plant. The plant is an ideas factory, and no team can operate successfully without one. Plants are innovators and inventors. They're highly creative, and like plants everywhere, they drop seeds, ideas, which other more practically minded people can then cultivate. Plants think outside the box. But their ideas and their methods can be unorthodox and can sometimes lack practical constraints. In fact, some of their ideas might be completely unsound. Do you recognize this as anyone you know? Not all their ideas are necessarily good. Perhaps you recognize yourself.
Instant water. Just add. No.
Yes. But that's all right, that's all right. You're not depending on a plant to exercise caution or fine judgment. You're depending on your plant to be prolific. What you need to maintain objectivity is the behavior of the monitor-evaluator. The monitor-evaluator is a logical, prudent individual with a built-in immunity to enthusiasm. They're very good at weighing up the pros and cons without fear or favor. And they can sometimes have a dampening effect on people's feelings because they can be seen as negative, and this can cause friction. So it's vital to include the sort of behavior that a coordinator excels at, namely an ability to cause others to work towards shared goals. A people person, the coordinator, is the type who recognizes the strengths and weaknesses of the other team members and knows how to put that chemistry together for optimum results.
Whoa.
But the coordinator, like the others, cannot work in a vacuum. The coordinator sees the goal, but it's the implementer who knows how to get us there. Implementers have practical common sense and a good deal of self-control and discipline. The implementer sees what needs to be done and has both the perseverance to see that it gets done and the organizational skills to see that it gets done efficiently. Now, at this point, we can see that the team's becoming almost self-sufficient, and that's good, isn't it? Self-sufficiency? Well, no, it isn't. Because every team exists in the context of a wider landscape. It's very important that someone communicates with the world outside the team. Most critically, to bring in resources that may only be available from outside. That's where the resource investigator comes in. The resource investigator is good at communicating with people both inside and outside the company. They are often enthusiastic, lively extroverts, natural negotiators and networkers. They make connections and garner information from far afield. They explore and exploit. They're opportunistic and inquisitive. Now, whenever you build a rich mixture of personalities like this, there are bound to be frictions, and sometimes the whole engine can seize right up. But there is a sort of person whose behavior oils the gears and helps everything keep moving along nicely. That person is the team worker. What team workers do is something so obvious that many of us forget what a difference it makes. They're the people who have noticed that everyone that they work with is a human being with human being needs and feelings. They're the ones who listen quietly and keep everyone connected. They're the ones who stay late without being asked, not because they're workaholic, but because on balance they feel it would be more helpful if they stayed. They're cooperative, versatile, perceptive and diplomatic. They listen, they build confidence and relationships, and they avert friction. But a team, however small, is like a little community, so emotional support and interpersonal skills are the glue that holds that sense of family together. Without the emotional nourishment that the team worker brings, we're all just cogs in a machine. So it's perhaps no surprise that Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, despite their grit and determination, turn out to have been strong team workers. And apart from anything else, generosity of spirit is an extremely positive presence in any group of people. It's worth any number of company psychiatrists or middle management archery weekends. It enriches the lives of all who come into contact with it. So, now we've got a lot going on and things can start to get a little... unfocused. And as time goes by, of course, there will inevitably be setbacks and thorny problems. That's just life, isn't it? So this is the moment where the shaper needs to do their thing. Shapers are challenging, dynamic people who thrive on pressure. They have the drive and courage to overcome obstacles.
We will focus on the project. We will win this contract.
Shapers are injectors of energy, and they reinfuse a group when the commitment starts to flag. They remind the team of the importance of what they're doing. And perhaps most important of all, the shaper is the person who will refocus the group in terms of goals and schedule, keep the team on target. In other words, kick ass and get results. So we know what needs to be done and why, and we know when we have to achieve it by. And in order for this to happen, we need one other very important instrument in our orchestra. One particular behavioural fingerprint without which no team can have an effective identity. That person is the completer finisher. Completer finishers are painstaking, conscientious and often slightly anxious people. Their tendency to worry gives them a forensic attention to detail. They search out errors and omissions. They're self-confessed perfectionists, and they're motivated to achieve higher standards than anyone else can aspire. And finally, it was found that every group needs a specialist. The specialist is one of those single-minded, self-starting, dedicated kind of people that have an encyclopedic knowledge of possibly quite a narrow area, but an area, nevertheless, that is vitally important to the team. Perhaps this person is a specialist because they have a skill that is in short supply. They're often not, by any outward sign, a great team member, but then they're not in the team to be a great team member. They're in the team because of their strengths. A correctly constructed team is the living embodiment of the saying, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Now, I'd like to show you team role theory in action, but there's a problem. If we have actors or even real people playing the parts, it's as if we're saying that all monitor evaluators are bald and fat. Or we get that classic icon of the shaper in our heads looking like something out of the 1980s, you know, guy,
Doctor,
red
you said
braces.
something?
Doctor, you said something? How to get rid of these stereotypes?
Put it in mute, please.
And it occurred to me, if we got a bunch of humans...
Yes, sir.
We are running out.
Yes, sir.
Can we discuss on the way and then add up if we need to see the videos?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
And someone has got two.
Hello, sir, you're not audible. But sir, you're not audible. Yeah, sir. Yeah, sir.
Yes. Is it okay now?
Yes. Is it okay now?
Oh no, I'm hearing my voice again. Oh no, I'm hearing my voice again.
We can initiate the discussion.
We can initiate the discussion.
Right.
Right.
Puneet sir, we'll start with your
Maybe
opening
all of you
comments
can
and
put
then
it in mute. Maybe all of you can put it in mute except whoever wants to talk.
Yeah.
yeah, Puneet sir, you can start.
Yeah. So there's no echo now. No. Yeah. We can go ahead. So yeah, I think team is an acronym for together everyone achieves more. And I think your video was very interesting because it demonstrated to me why I was a part of this huge team here, one of the biggest surgical gastro teams in the country for 20 years. And you actually very visually demonstrated how each of them, what parts they played. And I think it took me 21 years not even to realize that, but you put that very very easily into the roles and the names. And I think it's a very very important lesson, because particularly in medicine we act as bad teams because if you I don't know if you've read this Eric Segal's doctor book, where the surgeon, he goes, when he goes to the patient after a successful operation, he says, I did this, this was a very difficult operation and I could do this. And, when this problem came, I did this. But when there's a failure and the patient doesn't succeed, he takes the whole, gang, and he says, we tried our best and we couldn't make it, etc., etc. So I think that's where the difference lies, because we are not taught professionally. I think it's a very, all of us need to be in good teams, good managers, and we're not taught that professionally. We're only taught very didactic stuff, which is now going to be available at the touch of a finger. So I think the National Medical Council has recognized that and is starting to instill the principles of medical humanities and all that. And I think we'll need many more of your kind of sessions. So I think learning general surgery has always helped us look at this side of things which we are not trained on. And we need to focus on this a lot more. Thank you so much, Dr. Suresh. It's open for whoever has questions.
Biswarup, if you can come in.
I think he's in a call, sir.
Oh, okay.
Professor Amit Ghosh can state his comments. Sir, can you come in?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ilango, and most importantly, Dr. Suresh and Dr. Puneet. Dr. Suresh, thank you for, Mr. Suresh, thank you for your very insightful comments. I am looking at it from, I work in the Mayo Clinic, which is one of the largest medical centers, and we are always delivering integrative health. It's the vision of the Mayo brothers right from the beginning that the doctor intuitively can't be a great administrator. So the partnership which started right at the beginning was a dyad between a doctor and an administrator involved in every meeting, every team building experience. So we got the benefit of the knowledge that you mentioned here. And then we made it a triad where we also had the nurse in the team. So it's every team which you look at in Mayo Clinic, there's going to be input from these three groups. The question about behavioral interview is so very important for us. And fortunately and unfortunately, we are a big institution and we can select the best with interviews. So you could be the highest published person in the world, but you will not get into Mayo Clinic because of your behavior issues. And we had to let go several surgeons, physicians, because they could not work in team. Team is so essential for us because maintaining the entire environment, the calmness of the front desk, the nurse, we have nurse extenders and trainees, is so very important that patients all over the world come here not to get disrupted care, but have to be treated in respect. So when I was interviewing, I had no idea about behavioral interviews, as is mentioned, and I was asked about, tell me an experience. What was the hardest thing you did? Tell me a problem you solved. And I was thinking, nobody has asked me about my CV, my paper, my research, how many hospitals I've worked, and blah, blah, blah. They said that when we select you for an interview, we have already looked at those things. So you already have approved that you should be able to technically manage. We are not interested in that. At Mayo Clinic, however good you are, we can always get two people better than you. They may not be individually as good, but working together, they will be more than you, and they'll be less disruptive. So the whole idea that you're the highest qualified and that can work is actually a myth. Where we do use it is what Mr. Suresh showed that video of the 8 structures, is use them as a specialist, gradually coach them. If they are of immense potential, we actually hire an outside coach to kind of work on the behavioral thing. I cannot tell you how important it is and how disruptive it is. When I see the promotions of India, is somebody who's published higher or somebody who is by age, they get the positions. And most other institutions now, fortunately, are going away from it. But I come from PGI, where the oldest person gets the rank unless they have huge behavioral issues. And I've had other colleagues leave the department because this oldest person was not the best person. And I won't even say that the person who left was the best person because they had other issues themselves. But working as a team is essential. I really also took a point about that medicine is different from team building, very different from other things, because everything is immediate. Violence is immediate against doctors. So whom you select, what structures you have is important. Many people are able to do other kinds of businesses. Amazon has tried it. Other people have tried. They are huge in team building. They failed in when it comes to medical management because it is intense. The best word I have seen in India, which is coming now to US, is called jugaad. And there's a Harvard professor of Indian origin, business school, who has done work on research on jugaad, where he's able to extract the best from every person. So rather than discarding them because of one behavior and others, if these persons are of extraordinary abilities, it needs a very good moderator, one of the 9 figures, to understand, to nurture, to take in them in the side and to do it. One person cannot do it all. And the amount of reward to go around is plenty. So the whole fear that I will not be famous if I do this, I will not get the promotion. There's always a director position of this and that, other than the head of the department. Several parallel programs are coming up, and somebody with a great behavioral ability, with empathy, compassion, able to work through, are going to be the future leaders. And we see that most in China now. That's why they're doing so well. Many places in US, all the places in US which are doing well have great team management. So gone are the days of one man does everything, and we're realizing that the unintended consequences of having too much ego and too much talent is you bring the entire team down. So as an interviewing, as an HR person or a leader, you have to be mindful of who's going to replace you, not somebody who is sucking up to me or always saying good things about me for their own gain, but somebody who will really take the team succession planning to the next level when we have retired or no longer in the position. Thank you for the time.
Beautiful, beautiful. In fact, in leadership position, succession plan is actually a main KRA, and there is a weightage for that, how the person is actually preparing his next level and all those things. So you said it very, very nicely, and so nice of you.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I talk? I have one question to Amit. You studied in India and then you are in US. One thing I have realized is there an inbuilt bias against talent in that system? Just because someone is talented, is it automatically conceived, no, this guy is not going to fit into the team? That's the question to you. And
right.
then, because there can be a natural...
It takes us a while to get in as international graduates. There is always an hesitancy just because that we are overtrained. Like I was already fellowship trained in Chandigarh and had to start at the second year residency level. So they are hesitant. But one thing which we have as Indians, which is so amazingly, we are very resilient people. And somehow outside the group, the people who have come outside, somehow for some reason, they feel that they need to start their life all over again. So we are able to learn from what's going on, take the good of it. There's other resistance also, but take the good of it. We are always going to be brown people, but we are always smart brown people. That we cannot change. But having understood that, I am seeing, whenever I go back to India, I see such tremendous talent there at every level. Many of them are here in this audience. But for some reason, they're not able to fulfill their potential because somebody is either taking them down, or they've given up on something, or they're happy with status quo, whatever be the reason. But I'm also happy to report that that is changing, because in the last 10, 15 years, there have been so many people trained overseas, coming abroad, coming to India, bringing the talents and using the brilliance of India to improve what is there. So you have to, I asked the Sardarji here, I said, are you conscious about, wearing your turban and all that and coming and seeing these white people? He says, no. He says, I'm not controlled by either my turban or anybody. I'm controlled by what I think and working. And he's now the head of EP service and cardiology in LA. So we have a very good, I have to be proud to say that as Indians, we have a terrific heritage of a very strong medical practice. We are known worldwide as the IT people, administration, MBA. So we have a lot to be proud of. So I carry all those chips with me. But all the other things don't matter. I cannot be retiring or going to my grave thinking who's judging me what. I can only do the very best what I'm trained for. And that's why I come back repeatedly to Marvelous Medicine, because they have a unique way of bringing the best people, the most brilliant people in the country again and again. And they're actually ground shattering. And this talk by Mr. Suresh, I think is one of the best of teamwork I've heard. And I do hear a lot of teamwork, but he has, with his deep insight, really cracked it open. So I wish we pay great attention to him, follow it to the script. And Dr. Paul, Biswarup Paul has a very great insight. You are in the position to enact it and take it, scale it right up to the high up. I'll give you an example of discrimination and difficulty. Here, last year, because of COVID, there was a black patient who was serving a long sentence, and he was 78 years old. He had another 2 months to finish his sentence, but he had COVID. He was incarcerated. He was brought to a Harvard hospital with his hand chained to the bed. And the poor bed was, he was intubated that way. He had to, they wanted to put him in prone position, and they could not because the cops won't allow it. The junior resident had to escalate it all the way to the CEO to make that happen. And the patient ultimately died, and the news in the paper was that nobody should die with their hand shackled. Now, it needed the lowest member, the intern, to go up to the CEO. So if you're building a team and have to be effective, the intern cannot be scared of the next resident or the boss to really bring delivery of care. So in many places like Toyota and other teams, they have this thing that the junior most person can stop. In surgery, it is there that they can stop if they're seeing something wrong being done. So the team without that flexibility, despite having all these 9 members, will not work. So the whole thing comes, there has to be a vision statement as to what do you value. And in Mayo, we have the value that the need of the patient comes first. All the members know it, whether you're a janitor or you're a doctor, the need of the patient comes first. So all our differences get thrown aside when we are working towards the patient. So whenever we are having a disagreement as a team, the question is popped up, is it serving the need of the patient or the need of the team, or whose interest is being served? And then we reformat our activity towards the need of the patient. And that's how things are done. But thanks, Bishop, for asking it.
I think you raise a very valid point. I was particularly impressed with what you said about if we must all understand that we can be replaced by somebody at least as good, if not better, because I think all of us have that inflated ego that we are the best in our fields. So I think we need to, when we are hiring, I think from the word go, we are not looking at all those, those roles that we are looking for. So I think that's a great lesson for me. When we are going to start a team, we need to look for those features in each of them. If they're together in the same person, all the better. But we've always targeted looking at the most talented. They might not be the best team players always, and many people are actually as good. But I think that's a huge lesson for me. Very timely as well.
Can I ask Suresh, because healthcare involves a huge amount of human chain events culminating to one final result, and it's a huge cultural thing. I'll give you an example. When Greg Chappell became the coach of Indian team, he's a fantastic coach, fantastic analyst. But that period and same talented players malfunctioned, and there was a U-turn later on with another coach. So what I intend to convey is Radhakrishna and Puneet knows. One of Puneet's student was my colleague in Ahmedabad. For some reason, who has spent lifetime in South India, went to Ahmedabad for 2 years for a particular assignment. Trust me, in India, human culture is possibly different every 200, 300 kilometers. And a healthcare-like subject where I'm depending on human chain events and human participation, performance, every hour, every minute, it took me 3 hours to get assimilated. I can't change the culture there. I have to get assimilated to Gujarat culture and get the best out of the people. Until those 3 months were over, I never judged, as a leader, I never judged a single person. It was humongously difficult for me because when hospital appointed me as a in charge, they expected results from the day one. But I still have to get assimilated. So those 3 periods as a leader, I went through huge duress. Thank you for listening, but this is something I wanted to convey.
Sir, Doctor, on the cultural front, I'm drawing an example from culture which is typical to Larsen and Toubro, culture which is very typical and core to Mahendra's, culture to Tata's, and let us say Bajaj. Suppose if Dr. Bishwarup Paul is joining L&T, you may be bringing in, you may be having your own culture, but already there is a established culture there.
Exactly.
In case, if you are trying to change that culture, possible, then you become a legend. It takes time. So what we do, we have culture, we have subcultures, because inside Larsen and Toubro, there are companies within the companies. For example, my company is called L&T IDPL, Infrastructure Development Projects Limited. It is a registered company. We have our own books which are separate. We have our own board of directors. We have a subculture which is drawn from the main culture. So what happens, I came from the parent organization and joined here. I was one of the early arrivals in this particular entity, which is actually a sub-entity. So we have culture, we have subcultures. But because I have come from there, it took some time for me to get used to this system and for the system to agree and accept me. So totally, as I said, out of 35 years of experience, in 2004, I joined this entity and then I developed this entity. Today, because of my vintage, I also have some influence on this, and certain cultures in the journey I could actually change. Some of the cultures I adopted. So it is as you know, it is for Dr. Amit. He is there overseas. Certain main cultures, there is no other go. You can't swim against the tide. But it doesn't mean we will all do things which are not right ethically, which are not right technically, which are not right to our consciousness. I think there is no compromise in that. So in our world, in business world, if a person is getting moved because of better career from Tata's to L&T, or L&T to Shapurji Palanji, or Mahendra's, you can't go and tell, hey man, this is my culture. You know what will happen. So, sir, finally, we also have culture survey. There are specific studies inside this. What happens is, after some time, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, we always take a stock of the situation. Where were we? Where are we? In our order booking, in our bottom line, top line, in our attrition, in our retention, in our success plan, so many things. Then the team, people with wisdom sit and decide, hey, no, this is not right. Actually, our intended milestone is here. This is what is supposed to be our culture, whereas this is the culture. Then change agents come. People who are experts in that, as you said about change. You mentioned 2 words, so I'm just building it on up. So change agents bring in organization development interventions, OD intervention, which is an organization-wide change on whatever it is, cost saving or, strategic perspectives. Then it is a different ball game. Then again, another survey is conducted, whether all the interventions are in place. But the result comes, it's all long drawn. At least even for some delta change, incremental change, it takes several years for the culture to change. So I didn't talk anything from the medical field. All the parallel, whatever I have said is from the outside business world. Over to all of you.
I think we interpret everything you say medically, and then we understand that it's also relevant. But there are many, many more things unique to medicine. I think medical people, I presume, are more egoistic than, say, you people. And actually, the bigger the medical person, the bigger the ego. And, we generally do not seem to have this wise man sitting at the top and, trying to find out what is wrong. We really do not know who the wise men are. We always believe we are the wise men. And there's no one to correct us. And that's a huge, Bhaskar was alluding to a little while ago, but we don't know the hierarchy, who is the final person who makes a decision. And these are all certain areas not very structured. And that's where we find it difficult. I think it's a wonderful evening. And this session should be coming.
I think we need more. Yeah, we need.
Yeah, I think
we need more of these series.
Next time he'll come with his own slides and he'll run his own slides, and then I think we'll have a lot more energy there.
Sure.
The core concept was that these are skills that we actually miss during training, and I think these are skills which really add up to a good outcome in healthcare, both on a public perspective as well as on the individual perspective. When we finished, these gaps were, we were staring at those gaps in our lives. And I felt that Let Us Learn Surgery should contribute to meeting industry leaders, people from military expertise, as well as from sports teams, to see how they gel well together and bring them together for a great outcome. I think in future episodes, we will explore this, and we thank Mr. PG Suresh Kumar for being with us and sharing his insights on team building. He has helped us on many things in change management as well. We'll see him in the future episodes of Let's Learn Surgery. And I especially thank Professor Puneet Dar for being there to moderate the session, Professor Amit, Dr. Pal, Dr. Bhaskaran, Dr. Venkatesh. I see a lot of friends and my team members. I mean, the interaction will go a long way in helping our youngsters. For the next week, we have an interesting topic. We draw the parallel learning process from an interventional radiologist of how he learned procedural skills and what lessons we can learn as a surgeon from such specialists. So to speak on that topic, we have Karthik Damodaran, and to moderate the session, we have another interventional radiologist, Dr. Satish from Apollo Hospital. Both of them are accomplished interventional radiologists, trained across the world, both in UK, US, and then worked in Singapore. So we are going to have an interesting session next week. Please do join us at Let's Learn Surgery next week at 8 p.m. next Tuesday. Thank you very much. Thank you again for being with us.
One point I want to tell all of you. Maybe on experimental basis, either the Belbin as an assessment for you or and the Harrison assessment, you can take it. You can have the taste of it. You reach out to Dr. Ilango. I will tell him how you can take it. It's an investment of, it is 19 questions only if you are taking the Harrison assessment. It is an international tool. The validity and reliability of this instrument is one, accepted, scientific. Just see, test it and taste it. Then you can decide what is in those instruments.
Yes, sir. Please share the link. I will share with the Let's Learn Surgery group as well as the main Learning General Surgery group, and we'll hope to hear more from you in the coming episodes. Thank you, everyone.
All the very best and very nice, and thanks for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.